Okay, so maybe we can start. I was
Yes,
thinking,
let's start.
because we did the perfectionism podcast, and I wanted to explore it in different areas of our life, actually, because it is everything basically what we discuss is about balance between some sort of technique and the heart. And mostly, when as a parents, we go here and there and try to solve our problems. Everybody has some sort of advice and solution and technique somebody can use. But a lot of times it has to be individualized. And I'm quite sure before we became parents, we thought it's going to be all beautiful and romantic and wonderful, and it will be flowers and butterflies, and we will talk to our children in a lot of compassion and patience. But probably with every kid, compassion and patience change into something else and into our parents' behavior. So I just wanted to probably naturally come to this topic because from all of our podcasts, we don't have a particular podcast for motherhood or parenthood. So maybe we can talk about this perfection, how we saw it's going to be and how it is now, and where we can find that balance that it is still what we want, but it's not just something that is a chore and is drying up our soul.
Me.
So would you
So,
say that specific like life events in terms of like having children and in terms of like children having certain issues that they made you feel that okay, we cannot live the same way, or was it just that with every kid you felt like okay, I have to be a role model and I need to be a leader? What was exactly that made you think like you have to change the way you parent, the way you are?
well, first of all, it's the realization of the new sort of responsibility. So
Mm-hmm.
you're not only responsible for yourself, but and not only for this new soul that came
Mm-hmm.
into this world. You need to do everything you can not to mess it up for them, but also realizing on a broader scale that the future of the planet depends on this generation of little souls.
Mm-hmm.
So when that realization hit, that was just just what's the word? Goodness gracious, I'm sorry, I did. Yes, reverberated. Oh, is that the word? I don't know. We just did a 5 hour workshop, so my brain is a little fried.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that realization, it filled every cell of my body,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why. Isn't it a big responsibility you felt? Yes, not only before the soul, but before
The world.
the world, basically. Yes, because the world consists of the different individual souls. So every person we put out into this world affects it in one way or another. So how do we not mess it up? Yeah.
Mhm.
Does that answer your question, or is it too vague?
No, it's abstract. That's why I'm asking, like how did you come to realizations? Because, when we share some of our personal kind of um examples, then we can understand okay, that was the breaking point, and this is
Mm-hmm,
how
mm-hmm.
it came to be.
Okay, so let me see if I can be a little more specific. So, so before our firstborn
Mm-hmm.
came into this world, we started sensing some not really city, but some special, some special kind of like spidey sense. So, for example, my husband predicted exactly when Ruslan would be born.
Mm-hmm.
So he gave Oh no, Ruslan actually came into in his dream and he gave him the date. So that's how it happened. Anyway, so a series of events like that, and after Ruslan was born, um, I was hit with a bad postpartum depression. So I thought I was dying. I thought everybody around me was dying. I would, I remember putting the baby in his crib and then snatching him up because I thought he was turning blue. That's how bad it was with me. And my husband would be standing right next to me, and he would be like, "He's fine." I'm like, "No, he's blue. Can't you see?" He's like, "No, he's fine." I'm like, "No, he's blue."
You had some support from the some females relatives.
Well, my
Elderly woman who went through childbirth already, it could share, could cheer you up and calm you down, because sometimes we don't believe our husband that the baby is fine because we feel like we more intuitive about it. Did you have the support?
well, my in-laws, they were staying with us for like 6 months, and they were absolutely wonderful in terms of they were doing everything around the house, all the cooking, all the cleaning, all the the laundry and everything. But at the same time, I was still postpartum, so I couldn't be as fast. I wasn't getting enough sleep. So, but they were fine. My in-laws, they were quick on their feet. So, and they acted like a team. So they basically, and they were so in love instantly with their grandchild that, they barely let me hold them. So, that's another, reason why that postpartum depression hit. Yes, so
Skin to skin, maybe.
not enough skin to skin. Yes, my father-in-law, he preferred to bottle feed the baby instead of me nursing him. So things
I heard it's like a little
things like that.
Asian tradition. When the firstborn, I heard today, I was listening podcast that in Asia, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, they even have the name for it. You give your firstborn to grandparents, right? Did you heard about it? And they kind of raise it and kind of their favorite.
Yeah.
So it was interesting for me.
Not not nowadays, but in the past, yes, it was like that. And my father-in-law even suggested that, would you give him to us? So that drove me to
Still doing it at least.
So did you feel like your motherhood and your baby was in a sense a little bit hijacked?
Yes, I felt like everything was jeopardized. Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Yourself, and
Yes.
you don't belong yourself. Your body don't belong you, and
So you had to
extended
find
your
solutions so that everything can be stabilized. Because in some way, people, people and us also with Luliana, we say, oh, how wonderful it would be to have help of grandparents. How wonderful it would be if they could take care of children. But actually, with this, it's only not only like sometimes we think maybe we idealize this idea in a sense because we really need support, but then when you have too much of that support, it also goes the other way. It becomes like your attachment to your child, which should be healthy and which should be primary, becomes like not primary anymore, and that I bet can really put somebody in a really bad psychological or whatever situation.
Yes.
So we, in a sense, perfectionism in parenthood, in a sense, can be also understood like, oh, if only we had help, then everything would be perfect. But here you are saying that I had help and they really loved to help us, but they loved to help us so much that it didn't give balance.
It's hard, like in this life also, like we don't know, like for example, I, after the birth of my first daughter, I also had depression for 2 years, and I thought it's because the lack of the help
Yeah.
from my extended immediate family, and but that make me think, what if it's all in our heads?
Yeah,
What if
yeah,
it
and
doesn't matter?
yeah,
Or it was inadequate? Either it was not how we wanted to be helped exactly, but is it even exist?
yeah,
What if it?
I have a realization, and it's not only realization, but I did a research about why women have postpartum depression. And listen carefully. Actually, the part of the brain that is responsible for safe attachment in our own brain
Mhm.
is also responsible for attachment to the baby. So,
Mhm.
if our own attachment style in the childhood and our needs were not met, and we have unsafe attachment to our parents, then when a baby is born, that part of our brain is triggered and we get postpartum depression. That is something that I read from, I don't remember where, but I was curious because I couldn't make sense of postpartum depression, that it's only hormonal. So I wanted to see if there are psychological reasons, and they actually suggest, some of the researchers that suggest that that is the reason. Basically, if you didn't have a safe attachment style with your own parents, when your baby is born, it kind of triggers that part of the brain. And that's how it shows up. It shows up as postpartum depression. So, for example, I also had postpartum depression, but I didn't understand it. So when my son was born, I was expecting my family to come and help me. He had a lot of problems with drinking milk because he couldn't move his jaw. He had like a specific problem. And I didn't know anything about breastfeeding. And so he also had like some rare type of tongue tie, and that rare type of tongue tie, it was kind of difficult to recognize. So I spent my nights trying to feed a baby who wouldn't feed, and I didn't understand what's going on. And that midwives who were coming and visiting me were kind of gaslighting me, saying, "Oh, you'll be fine, you will be okay." And then a couple of, but my mother's gut instinct said that it was something was off. And slowly, I was getting into a deep hole because I didn't have any help. And my little unexperienced motherhood kind of feeling and intuition was telling me something that other people who were more experienced told me that it's actually not like this. And so slowly, I got really depressed. I remember that I couldn't move my body. And at some point, when I saw my baby losing weight and deciding not to feed at all, then I realized that that's dangerous. And I called some specialists to come to my home and check the baby. And that specialist she didn't really notice what was actually wrong, but she said that this is not normal. That's it. That's not normal. And then I needed 3 more like weeks to sort it out, because then I saw the other specialist, and then she said, yes, your baby has like posterior tongue tie. Also, he has some jaw issues, and also he can't really swallow. So whatever I was doing as a unexperienced mom, like I had to spray with syringes the food in his mouth, and I had to wake up every 2 hours in the night, and that was happening
Oh my God.
for 3 months. And I went completely nuts because not only lack of sleep, but just trying to survive, trying to make the baby to survive, trying to feel normal, because I didn't know it wasn't normal. So I was blaming myself for the situation and for the fact that I am tired and I cannot do anything else, because I thought, like ancient women were giving birth in fields and just throwing the baby on the shoulder and then continue to plow the rye. So that was my idea, that this is like natural. We've been doing this for thousands and millions of years. So why am I so down? But then slowly, this experience like really put me, like it was really bad. The only thing that saved me was the fact that I kept moving my body, because I knew from some um, ancient wisdom that depression is linked to physical movement. If you physically move, then depression is less. So that's the only thing that I knew, because every help that I asked for wasn't there. No support, nothing. Just me alone and this baby that I have to now learn what's going on with the baby, and me. And so it was really hitting. Yeah, it was hitting in the strongest way possible.
You know, Ruru, especially like when you are new mom and everybody telling you everything is okay, but you feel everything is
Mm-hmm.
not okay.
Yeah.
And you kind of, I like how you said, gaslighted into depression because
Mm-hmm.
you were basically taught not to trust your gut instinct
Yeah.
and just be happy.
Yeah.
When you, and lack of sleep for so long is affecting mental health for sure.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I had similar situation with my first
Mm.
and with my first child because I was pumping for 6 months because I was
Yeah.
taught
Me too.
I didn't have enough milk. I was pumping every 3 hours, day and night. That my milk was not enough, but she was allergic to like mixtures. You know,
Yeah.
like it was. I don't even remember this
Yeah.
time like that much. I remember a lot of suffering, but also you know like what you tell interesting, like the I heard that okay the woman give birth and it triggers her attachment to parents. You said,
Yeah.
but I'm thinking if there is a connection because you know like because when the child is teenager parents suddenly remember their own teenagehood and they become triggered, they become crazy overprotective
Mm.
or opposite, allowing child everything because in their teenagehood they were not allowed anything. So I'm
Mm.
thinking when the woman gives birth, at that moment she relives her own birth and she
Yeah.
relives her own experience as
Yeah.
soon as she came out from womb, what's happened after. Because with me, what's happened after, I had my grandma care for me. I was crying a lot. I had a hernia. So I don't remember really my mom's arms. I
Mm-hmm.
remember grandma's. And this longing for my mom, I still have it. I still
Mm-hmm.
have it. So when my daughter was born, I was just like holding her 24/7. I was just like
Mm-hmm.
24/7. I slept sitting down, laying down. She was on my belly. With each child, I was just like not letting it go because I
Yeah.
was compensating for my
For your
own
own.
birth. Yeah.
Yeah.
So every time why they say I think conflict with teenagers because we are reliving our every time my children hit some kind of birthmark I
Mm-hmm.
remember, oh, at 10 years old, I was doing this. Oh, as teenager,
Mm-hmm.
I was doing this. Oh, I was also interested in this.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm like reliving my own childhood,
Yeah.
reliving my own
Yeah.
high school years, my own college
Mm-hmm.
dilemma, where to go, my
Yeah.
own. And I'm confused as I was a teenager, like my teenager asking, oh, how to choose the path next. And I feel the stress of
Mm-hmm.
me pushed into making major decision of my life at the young age. I feel her stress. I sometimes have nightmares when I was in school,
Yeah.
not ready enough for test. So I feel this parenthood is making us relive our life.
Yeah.
This is the first thing.
Eh,
And make it more perfect. This time we have to make it right. And we try so hard.
yeah.
And I don't know if it's a good idea.
No,
I
because
don't
it
know.
is in psychology. In a sense, we do relive our own life through our children, but it is called, there is a book called How to Forgive Your Emotionally Immature Parents or something like that. So it says that, what does it say? It says that in the childhood, when something painful happens to us and our parents maybe are not mature enough to take care of us, we create childhood dream. The childhood dream, like for example, when I achieve this and that, then my mom will love me. Or, when I
When I
have
grow
my
up,
children and we
I will
live
have
through this,
a
then
lot of
everything
money
will
and I
so.
will not do like
No, no.
this.
And sometimes we relive our childhood dreams through our
Mhm.
children. So in the sense that, for example, if you lacked something in your childhood, you
Mhm.
think automatically that this is what your children lack, and that you
Right.
relieve your own pain through giving that to them, but it's actually not their pain, but it's yours. So you are
Yeah,
trying
yeah.
to
And
fix
we
the
give them,
childhood
yeah,
dream that you have, not what they need.
yeah. Or we fix in some future problem that probably will never exist and give
Because it's
them
your dream.
fears
Yeah.
that not, it was my fears, it was my real fears when I
Mm.
grew up, but they are not here for them probably. So it's kind of
Yeah.
in a sense of limiting,
Yeah,
right?
it's
Irina
limiting
wanna
belief.
say something.
Yeah, Irina, very important. Yeah.
Yeah, so sometimes I say something to my kids, but this is so and so, and they're like, "Yeah, mom, but we're not you."
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh yes, thank you for the reminder.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And I see a lot of myself in my son, and sometimes I see now why my mom talked to me in a certain way, because I was behaving like this, and then I'm like, oh, I also want to respond the way she responded to me. I can see why and how, and I can see those connections. And then I think, should I correct it or not? And sometimes I can't, because it is in subconscious already, like the patterns that we learned from parents, how they treat us. And very interestingly enough, I feel that a lot of behaviors, the ones that we really, really want to fix, actually are the ones that trigger us because as kids we were not allowed to experience that. For example, like my kid being naughty in a certain way, let's say, when I was a kid, it wasn't allowed, and I see that he is expressing it more outwardly than inwardly.
Like double, like he's
Yeah.
expressing for
And
himself and
I
for
really
you.
want to shut it,
Compensating.
like cut it off, you know. But and it triggers, and then I'm thinking, there is also somebody suggested that, that's why it's triggering, because they have an opportunity to live the way you didn't. It's not like a jealousy in a sense, but it is alarming, because whenever you try to express that, you were maybe gaslighted or stopped. And now you see something that's, you know that it's not allowed, and you like jump right away, and it triggers right away. So,
So should we relieve it right now in a playful way? Everything. I in Russia there was some like a psychological show where it was giving the members opportunity to like they were building decorations, and it's like the person grown up person like giving birth to himself. He coming out from the birth and they reenacting their old childhood, but in a 2-3 hours. So the
yeah,
person have opportunity to kind of play it out.
yeah, I know.
It's like a talk therapy or something.
There are a lot of these now new age healing things that I kind of a little bit
Or Kulinaya.
skeptical also.
Mm.
I don't know, because now there are like 3,000 techniques for each situation. I just
Yeah.
feel like the most simple one is to just leave our children alone from it and understand ourselves. Then we won't need to do all these 3,000 different workshops for $200 a person,
Yes,
because we just
that's
have to
part of
leave them alone, because I understood that for a long time I didn't trust my children's destiny, and I thought that I'm the ultimate controller, that everything depends on me, the way I behave, the way I show up, the way I'm gonna do the leadership, the way I'm gonna meditate, the way I'm gonna walk, the way I'm gonna speak, the way I'm gonna sleep.
Wait a minute. Rukmini,
Yeah.
but it doesn't come from you. I feel like it's expected from women and wives
Socially,
in a
maybe.
household to
Yeah.
be perfect. Like
Yeah,
who,
that's
the
another
one
topic.
person
How
who
to
has
be
to be perfect is mom.
yeah,
The mom should not
but
have her own thoughts, her own ideas, her own
yeah,
desires. Everything should be common for mom.
yeah,
Like
but
she has to be example of holiness in a house, not allowing herself to do her desires that maybe not aligned
that
with
is the
the
perfection that I'm trying
yeah.
to break. So now what I'm trying to do is not to use very expensive treatments. It's just like with common sense and logic. Understand that if I have faith, for example, in God, then it means automatically that I don't have to control everything in my house, in myself, and in every outcome. I can try to do my best as an offering to God, that, okay, I'm trying to do my best. I'm not a superhuman. I'm not a God for my children, even though they might try to see me like this. But if I take the role of the God only and think that everything depends on me, it creates so much stress from perfectionism that it even like it has the worst outcome than just to be a little bit more relaxed and just pray for your children. So I think that ultimate perfectionism is the difference, like when you understand that in the end, it's not you who decides what your children are gonna be, and that's not you who gonna shape them, and that's not your complete job. Like your job is to guide them and to raise them, but not to shape, like, and not to create. Like you have to still have God in the equation, because if you don't have faith, then you how to say it, you risk shifting into perfectionism, But when you have faith, then you can offer your children to God and pray for them. And prayer is actually such a mystical thing that can do a lot better than your like mind concoction things.
I also think that we have the responsibility to teach our children certain things,
Yeah.
basically how life works, and especially how to make decisions that are devoid of unnecessary emotion and sentiment.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
when emotions, when sentimentality gets in the way, this is when we make a lot of mistakes. So this is what we have been teaching our children. You know, we have been practicing, we have been doing a lot of inner work, so that teaches them. We are learning along the way too, but they're so fortunate because they have an opportunity to learn it from an early age, and they're starting to see the benefit and understand that if you practice this meditation, you know, as much as possible, yes.
Yeah.
So at the very least, your mind will be more controllable. So it will not become this crazy monkey mind that, you know, that you will be chasing around.
Yeah.
So it's not your operating mind that will be um, in command, right? But you will be able to use it as a tool, as an instrument. So I think that, at least from our perspective, this is the biggest, the greatest, you know, the most important thing we can do for our kids. This is what our life's realization has been. And so after we have been on this path for a long time, and you know, we have tried so many different techniques, mechanisms, so many different, you know, events and short workshops and seminars attended, and so much money put into it. But what um, had the most profound effect on me, not any kind of religion, not any kind of religious concept, but this simple yogic perspective that we get everything that we get is deserved. So we get, you know, we reap what we sowed.
Yeah.
And simple as that. And you don't have to, you know, read 1,000 of psychology books, and you don't need to go to, you know, 500 shrinks.
Yeah.
This is, you know, the truth is simple.
Yeah.
So when I realized that, my life changed much, so much, you know, so much stress just, you know, evaporated. So much, maybe, like, I guess I had been harboring a lot of negativity, so it all just starting to seep out slowly but surely. And I feel that, you know, it's just so, it's becoming lighter and lighter to, I guess, just easier to be in my own body, to be in my own skin, just, you know, more comfortable. Yes, without having to have that pretense.
Yeah, and I think that you are sharing maybe something similar to what I'm sharing, that it's mostly, you know, still yoga is kind of, it requires faith too. So it's not that you are going mechanically sorting the problem, but you're using the faith that you have in the yoga practice to add it to your life, to make parenthood more meaningful, not perfect, but meaningful, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. And what I also realized, you know, now that, you know, I'm after the age of 40, is that no matter how hard we try, we're still going to make mistakes as parents. So we try to be so different from our own parents. We have parrots and frogs. We're in the jungle of Amazon River. I don't know. Maybe it's a mommy froggy. She's chiming in. She wanna get some wisdom. Yes, froggy wisdom. But anyway, yeah. So we think that, you know, being young parents and we are so different. We are so much more conscious than our parents. We don't eat meat. We stop drinking alcohol. We do yoga. We meditate, and we think that we are, all that. But to fill the almighty shoes, it's not a small job. So, and there is a saying in Russian. I'm gonna say it in Russian and then try to translate it. Не по Juanu sombrero. So basically, basically, yes. The God's shoes are too big to fill, and we're so tiny, that we just cannot possibly carry out those responsibilities. So we are bound to make mistakes, and we do.
Yeah.
Yes, and
Oh, you know what it came to me? That's why probably at least me had a depression because I envisioned my motherhood so happy. So I picture the perfect picture. And when it become not perfect, I realize, oh gosh, shoot, I can't control it. I guess I'm not controlling. Then what is it gonna be? And from that came helplessness and depression. And like you
Yes.
said, depression is, opposite of depression is expression. You
Yes.
express, you move. You are with emotions and body, and depression is the opposite. Like so. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's nice to like when you get realizations while talking and contemplating. It's a very nice way. I makes sense actually. Makes sense because for me it was the same. I was very idealistic, even fanatic. At that point of life, I was running a yoga place, and I believed in my yogic powers. But when the real life problems hit me, all the theology, philosophy, and theory didn't help because that's how you get your faith in something tested, or even
Yeah, it's like
the level of your.
faith.
Is it that we just got a lot of techniques in our heads, or does it actually work? And like, if you know how things should be done, here you go. Here is get few children and see
How
for
you gonna
yourself
do it?
if it's just theory or it's real.
and everything goes out the window, right?
Yeah, just like with one little baby, helpless little baby with one cry can really do so much.
And you feel even more helpless than the baby.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It came, also to, like the baby, one little baby, and she's crying. And I remember how stressful was it for me. I thought the world is ended. It's just, my mood becomes zero. For first 3 months of each child, my child was crying day and night. And I remember it was really bad psychologically. It was really bad, really, really bad. And every time I forget it, but then I remember it. I got pregnant, and I'm like, oh, first 3 months, okay. But the thing is, I notice my children are older, and if they have emotions, Rukmini, listen, I need to figure out this. We need to ladies figure out it. Like even my teenager or anybody like middle schooler or elementary schooler have emotions, it still hits hard. I still lose my mood. I lose my peace. It still hurts like first day. And I take their pain like mine. And they are like, for example, not success or not feeling good. I take it so personally like first day, and I cannot detach. Maybe it's not detachable. Maybe it's not possible to detach from it.
Maybe you think that you are responsible for everything they feel.
Yeah, like the first moment, like the first day. I don't know, like maybe like Mother Yashoda, when Krishna left, she was like beating herself, and like I think they left the body shortly because they couldn't bear separation. Maybe it's just mother's love, and it will never change. I'm trying to be philosophical. I'm trying to meditate, pray, and do art, and explore my emotions and feel my traumas. But this thing becomes still constant. If I don't sleep enough, don't take care of myself, it's still overwhelming. It overwhelms just. It is. I don't know, like you ladies, what do you think about it?
Yes, yes, I feel that as well. Um, I'm also very much connected to my children. I think a lot of mothers are, but also there is a different kind of mothers who are not as empathic, maybe. So maybe you're just more of an empath and you're just, feeling energies regardless. And given that it's your children, then then it hits you so much more. So I think that we, as extremely doting and extremely caring mothers, we sometimes interfere with our children's development. So that's what I know I do sometimes. And so, for example, of course, we are nowhere near that, but when Buddha was born, so his mother left the body on the seventh day after he was born. And actually, it's like that with all of the Tathagats. So when those fully enlightened souls incarnate here, reincarnate. So their mothers always leave on the seventh day because in order for them to become realized teachers of the teachers, yes, they have to grow up without that attachment. So mother's attachment, of course, it has to be there because, otherwise, if we are not attached, we will not be able to raise our children. Maybe they won't even survive if there is no motherly attachment because who else is going to take care of the children, right? But there is, a very fine line between being too much of that.
Oh,
So this is
yes.
what I'm learning right now,
Yeah.
and so my husband has been, working with me, on, trying to
Mhm.
help me cultivate this understanding that our job as parents, especially when kids become bigger, when they're little, of course, yes, they need all the love and care they can get. But when they get bigger, our job as parents is to prepare them for the life ahead and life without the parents.
Yeah.
So it's not our job to keep them, by our side. No, it's our job to
Although it's
help
not
them.
an Asian tradition. In Asian tradition, sons are by their side, and they didn't gonna keep the first grandchild.
Yeah, but that is a little bit like selfish, kind of, like
No,
now you're
hopefully
gonna
I
take
won't.
care of me.
We're gonna be on Bali doing yoga, but Ruslan and Eleanor is their firstborn. So you can do it. Yeah, yeah. Well, my
Yeah.
secret blessings. My
Actually,
secret dream is you go ahead.
Actually, some of my own friendships with some of the ladies that I liked ended because of that fanatic fear of children's emotions, because they were trying to control everything around them and every person around them and every kid around them, so that kid would not experience big heightened emotions. And I couldn't, how to say,
Handle
just
their emotions.
I couldn't
Adult.
address it because I felt like it's not my job, but then I couldn't also not see it, and so I felt like perplexed what to do. And then I decided, okay, that's just, we see life differently, we see parenthood differently, and I think it happens when you have more and more children. You kind of get
You
used
let
to the
go.
fact that they
You're
emote.
forced to let
Like,
go.
you're forced to understand that
That's
that
why
is what
people have
children
11
do.
children minimum or 13.
Yeah.
So they don't care. By 13 once, they already detached
Yes.
from
And
everything.
I did some, yeah, I did some coaching with, with a person who helped me to figure out where to go next. And he was saying, that the fact that kids emote, it means that they are normal. That's what kids are supposed to do. They emote, and then you give
What is
them
emotion?
connection. Emote means have
Oh,
the emotions, yeah, because
okay.
that's the
Oh, okay.
developmentally appropriate
Yeah,
thing to.
it's normal. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you train them and yourself, of course, to start putting those emotions into a constructive way, because maybe it hits you because you also need to train yourself, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know what? Here's what I also think. You're right, of course, but there is another side to it. Is that depending on the parents' level of consciousness, children will act according to that. So, for example, if at the time of conception, at the time of, pregnancy, at the time of childbirth, so depending on where your consciousness, what level your consciousness was at, for example, if it was on the second chakra, then of course your child will be a lot more emotional. So if your consciousness was a lot higher, if it was, let's say higher than the heart chakra, then the children will be so much, more mature, even since very early childhood. And I've seen it happen, and I know, I know it from my personal experience. I know it from, I've heard it many times from advanced yogis that actually have families as well. So I think there is that piece to it as well.
But Irina, we saw also like in some religious organizations also, it seems like parents very highly spiritual people, but somehow they have some children who have different interests and behavior. That's also a lot of that. And also there is a families of, like they say, families of alcoholics or people who are, like some kind of dependency, and they have like this mature, beautiful souls born to them. So it's
It can happen definitely, yes, but
constellations of the star timing,
Yes.
astrology.
and again, going back to karma,
Are
so
they
that
important still?
yes,
Okay, Yururu. Yururu is here.
yeah. So
Yes, yes. My day is ending a little bit, and my own children need some perfect timing for the bedtime. So that's why I'm
yeah,
a
okay.
little more quiet. So, but continue with the thought, just
Yes,
between yourselves. I'll listen.
Okay. So my favorite answer to everything is, it's all according to karma.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So everything we have in this lifetime is the result of, our previous actions, but it doesn't mean that, we shouldn't be doing anything because, our future consists of our present actions. So yeah, so that's all I wanted to say.
Keep doing good stuff.
I have a thought from Rudolf Steiner who said that, sometimes what happens is that behaviorally or physically, when children are born, they get ill or they have like, all sorts of issues. And he was saying that it's not because parents, like, the consciousness of the parents. He said that sometimes the soul is incarnated into the body for 7 years. And during those 7 years, it might find that this body in some way is uncomfortable. And to recharge the body and to change energy inside the body so that would suit the consciousness more, they have illnesses, but the illness is not as it's a bad thing by itself, because it is a kind of a way to reprogram the body. So, and the same thing I'm thinking about, even behavioral or emotional things. Maybe that person who is incarnating into that soul, like the consciousness, no, I'm not talking about soul. Soul is already there, but the consciousness, like, it's installing. And it's installing, and it takes time to really fully feel at home. And so when this process is happening, we can come with perfectionistic, judgmental look at it and say, oh, these parents probably doing something wrong because the kid has like eczema, or they probably didn't, give enough physical love or whatever, or these parents probably were on a lower consciousness when they had a baby. But actually it can be completely different thing. Like the outlook of Rudolf Steiner is very edge cutting even till now, because his idea is that he's not judging, but he's saying, no, it's actually normal. When a soul is finding the body unsuitable a little bit and trying to restructure it.
Yeah, I guess it's a very valid theory. Yeah.
I think in this sense, like all the psychological and bodily diseases, they come like lessons, because we're trying to reshape the soul not only in childhood but also in adulthood. We're still trying to grow up, I don't know, heal, I don't know, reshape, recalibrate. Even, like people say, the way women give birth, it's karmic, of course, but the way you can tell how the woman, how, for example, child is born, girl is born, how she given birth, how she lives her life, that's gonna be pretty much the same mood gonna be during the change in the body. So it's gonna be the same kind of team goals, throughout the life. A lesson throughout the life. Yeah. Unless person really starts to, I'm saying unless, allegedly, start to transcend all these bodily material concepts.
Yeah. So, what about we make a conclusion for our listeners and for ourselves? So, what is the remedy for that manufactured perfection of our own, like how not to be a perfect parent but still be awesome parent? And what is the remedy so that we don't need to spend our kids don't need to spend 30 years in therapy, but we also don't need to kind of uh, burden ourselves with too many negative thoughts about our own parenthood.
I actually want my children to be in a therapy to understand themselves better. If they will not be keen to meditation, prayer, and art, I really want them to have quality professional to talk about their feelings and understand that their feelings are important. I actually think that if I would have talk with some creative soul or meet a yogi or talk with professional, like not psychologist, understanding soul, because psychology is about originally about understanding the soul. It's not about this emotional tick, do this and tell them that and answer them like this and show them like that, because it's psychos is a soul, right? Originally. So I probably, if I meet this person when I was teenager or younger, my life could be different. I'm thinking could be different. Probably. What do you think, Irina? Well, we would start trusting ourselves, looking for our soul, trust in our soul. Depression would not happen. We would understand. Okay, my motherly soul telling me the child is not doing like he's supposed to do. I'm gonna, instead of listening everybody, I'm just gonna don't waste my time and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna resolve it and I'm gonna keep going until I resolve and feel calm about it. Just trust yourself since young age. Trust. To learn to respect your emotions, not to gaslight yourself. Trust your intuition. Trust your inner voice. Listen it.
I think that you're right on the money with that. But in addition to that, I think that it's not such a clear cut case. We do not always have this ability to discern, what's to be and what's not to be, what's good and what's not good, because we usually base it on our feelings. So if the feeling is unpleasant, then it's not good, and if the feeling is pleasant, then it's good. So and because of that duality, we suffer more and more. So to me, it's more about um, how to avoid the perfectionism, right? Was the question in parenthood, and but how to remain, I don't know how about awesome, but maybe adequate parents.
So I love that. Adequacy is a good thing because we still need to teach, not only to just let go of everything and nirvana.
Balance. Yes.
Balanced in all sense.
Yes. To me, it's all about inner work. At least this is the only recipe that I found effective in my life. So, yoga and meditation are absolutely essential. For me, when I'm in balance, I know that, my decisions, my actions are not as irradical. and I am not as negatively, impacting my children, my family, as I could have if I didn't have meditation and yoga in my life. So to me, this is absolutely essential. It's indispensable um, to do inner work, and to learn how to um, observe your emotions, and not allow them to overfill. Actually, when you practice it all the time, to observe your emotions without any judgment, it just dissolves, and it's not like you are stuffing those feelings inside of you, and then they're brewing and brewing there. No, they just dissolve. The samskaras dissolve. So yeah, I think that's my recipe, and that would be my advice to mothers. I know it's hard to do inner work, to find any time for yourself, but if there was one advice I could give a mother, is do yoga and meditation. So it could be a lifesaver, and it could create a completely different trajectory, in the upcoming rebirths as well, so that your future incarnations are not as challenging. Yeah, so that's, I don't know if you were looking for a kind of more,
No, no.
practice,
Actually,
more
I love
secular.
this. No,
Yeah.
I love this answer because the more like mature, even though I don't want to call myself mature, but the more maturity comes my way, the more I understand that what we think this should be like this, or this should be like that, or this should be like that, it limits us. So it's limiting. Our beliefs limit us with there's so much opulence in the world, but if we fixate on one little thing and say no, this is going to be only like this and like that, then what happens, all the energy that is inside the world doesn't come our way. We exhaust ourselves. So my idea about, like, that's why we are talking to other people, so that our own minds could open up to hearing everybody. I feel like just by talking to people and trying to hear the story and hear the outlook and hear what they genuinely, even if it's subjective, genuinely live through, then the open mind can open the heart. And with the open heart, I think you can do more than just like adopting a certain type of thought, because the thought is in the head. And there's how to say, the mind. I don't want my mind to lead my life. I want the heart to lead my life, and I feel that it's inevitable. You have to be open if you want your heart to lead the life. So I love your answer because it's genuine. It's what worked for you. You lived through this experience for years and years and years, and it's true. It's
I
true to
wanna
you.
add something, Ruru, that to Irina. So because moms often overwork themselves, and society putting unrealistic expectation on moms, and moms putting unrealistic expectation on themselves. So Irina was talking about inner work, and it sounds like one more to-do list. So I would like to put this essence, but call it not inner work, but inner art. I want all
Let's,
moms
yeah.
to create. They
I,
have to create
yeah.
beautiful garden in their
Yeah.
meditation,
So what
in
about
their
we talk
paper.
about inner work, inner art next time,
Yeah,
and
it
this
sounds
time we
more
finish with
realistic
perfect
and doable. I
Mother's Day.
agree. Yes, that
Yeah.
sounds so good.
I do really need to
Thank
go,
you. Yes,
ladies. Thank
yes,
you very
yes.
much. I'm
Nice
gonna
talking with
put
you.
wait a little bit. Thank you everybody for listening to this podcast. Tomorrow is Mother's Day, so I'm gonna post
Oh
this first.
no,
Thank
that's
you very much.
awesome.